Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have run out of pinto beans in the Alaska Prepper household. My wife gave me a call the other day and said, hey, I need some pinto beans for this recipe. And I was like, there's none left in the pantry? And she said, we're all out. And I said, I have failed you. So I had to go and purchase a couple of cans of this one in particular. And they were more than $2 per can, believe it or not. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go ahead and probably do a couple of batches of pinto beans with these beans that I put away about 4 years ago. If you all remember, about 4 years ago, 1 pound of dry beans was roughly maybe $1, maybe a little bit less if you caught them on sale, and a lot less if you ended up buying it in bulk from Costco at about $17 to $20 if I remember correctly. So these beans in this jar right here is actually less expensive than what I paid for this 1 can of beans. And you'll see how many jars you could make by yourself. And this is one of 2 things that I consider being the easiest thing to do as far as pressure canning goes. The second thing that I would say is the easiest to pressure can for beginner is to go ahead and pressure can meats, your favorite meat, ladies and gentlemen, because it only takes the meat if you're doing the raw pack method, which is what I would recommend, a little bit of salt. You don't need any broth or anything. Some people have often asked me when they see me do a video like this with beans, and it's, why don't you soak the beans overnight before you pressure can them? I have to tell you that I've never ever soaked the beans overnight at all, and they've always come out just right. Now, I've never pressure canned beans that were 4 years old before like these are. From what I understand, the older that they are, the drier that they'll get. So this is going to be somewhat partial experiment because I'm going to do 1 load right here of 7-quart jars without soaking them overnight, and then I'm going to go ahead and do another load tomorrow with beans that I did soak overnight. So we'll see how that works out. Now, before we start, all we're going to need is a measuring cup for your beans. Each of these quarts is going to take 1 cup of dry beans, and this is a 1/2 cup measuring cup. We're going to use this 1 teaspoon here to measure our salt, which is right here. We'll put 1 teaspoon into each quart container. We're going to need beans, we're going to need water, a pressure canner, and a little bit of white vinegar or clear vinegar. Our beans are ready. Let's go ahead and start pouring them in our jars. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what was left over in that container. And we're going to go ahead, as you can see, and let them soak all the way through tomorrow morning. Then I'll do another batch with these. I also went ahead and got some rings for my wide jars and my regular jars, regular mouth jars. And then we'll go ahead and heat them up a little bit so that they can get a little bit sticky as soon as we're ready to put them into our pressure canner. Now that we're ready to put our lids and rings on, we're going to go ahead and wipe each of these rims with some white vinegar. And all that's going to do is it's going to somewhat sanitize it. There's really no need to tighten these rings. And if you do tighten them, like really tight, you're going to probably have a failed seal. Let's talk about how much water we should have in order for it to not dry during the canning process. That would be a disaster. And since I'm using reverse osmosis water for this process, I'm not going to add any vinegar because we really shouldn't get too much of a cloud being that we're using RO water. Let's put in our last jar and see how far up it comes. And that's perfect right there. Now all we have to do is put our lid on, turn this on, and begin the process of pressure canning these beans, which are considered a protein, and therefore they will be pressure canned for a minimum of 90 minutes. I always like to go 5 minutes over, so for these it's going to be 95 minutes. The T-Fall 22-quart pressure canner comes with what I like to call a mechanical weight. I'm not sure if that's the actual weight or not. The reason I call it mechanical is because you can actually change it from weight to weight, and you don't have to take it off, and it doesn't jiggle like your garden variety pressure canner weight does. So you can see here that on this setting where it's got a little dot, it means that it's going to keep building pressure inside until you actually move this. So I don't deal with that at all. This right here, this setting right here shows that as soon as it builds pressure, it's going to let it come out the vent. Okay, and then 1 is for 5 pounds of pressure, 2 is 10, 3 is for 15 pounds of pressure. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I get slack over this all the time. I always use 15 pounds of pressure. Why? I found out that in an industrial setting where they process canned foods, like for the supermarkets, that they normally use 15 pounds no matter at what elevation they are. So that's what I've always used. I've never once had a problem with any food that I cooked at 15 pounds, being that where I live, I should be cooking it at 10 pounds. Right here, number 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with putting it here so that we can get a steam going, and then as soon as we get a steam going, we're going to set our timer for 10 minutes. Once you've got steam coming out like that for 10 minutes, we're going to go ahead and get it up to pressure. Like I said, I always use 3, and once it's kept 10 pounds of pressure for 10 minutes, that's when we start our timer for 90 minutes. That's when the actual processing time begins. As you can see, I had to move the pressure canner back to the smallest burner because this one was just too much. We are still over 10 pounds, and let's see, here we go. Boom. And that was the 10 minutes at being over 10 pounds. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to set our timer for 95 minutes. Yes, again, I understand 90 minutes is all you need, but I always go 5 minutes more. Always have. Never had a problem with it. And this is what they look like once they're done processed. The jars came out pretty clean, so I didn't really have to scrub them much because we did have RO water in there. These look great. Only one problem, ladies and gentlemen. I kind of messed up, and I have to tell you about this. When I put these jars in there, they had cold water in them. And although the water that I put inside of the pressure canner was also cold, when I started heating them, I ended up heating the water from the outside of the jars faster than inside of the jars. So I lost 2 jars because they cracked. So you got to be careful when you're doing this. The next batch that I do, when I start the heating process, I'll heat it up nice and slow so that I can meet the pressure and the heat that we need in order to process these. But anyways, lesson learned. Here is 5 of them that survived. And this is what the beans look like when they soaked overnight. They pretty much doubled in size. So what I'm going to do is, since I want to use up the jars that I have available first before digging into a new box, I'm going to do 3 quarts and using 2 cups per quart instead of 1 cup. This is what 1 cup produces, by the way. Here's 1 cup of beans. All right. And you can see that on this one here, this is the one that I had a tiny bit more than a cup, like maybe 1 3/4. Or I mean, excuse me, 1 1/4. So being that these have already gone up about twice in size, I'm going to put about twice as much in these and see what happens with that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the result of that entire container of dry beans minus the 2 jars that I showed you that broke inside the canner. This right here is an example of the beans that were soaked overnight, right here. And this right here is an example of the beans that weren't soaked overnight. So as far as I'm concerned, it's pretty much the same thing. The beans that were soaked overnight were just as tender as the ones that were not soaked overnight and were put in there dry. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're not canning food and putting it away for hard times, this is a great time to start. I made all of these jars of beans for roughly $2 to $3, with the exception of the lids. Each of these lids, depending where you buy them, what brand you use, cost anywhere between 15 cents to about 35 or 40 cents. Although these are Care lids, I really like the 4Jars brand. Go take a look at their site. They have lids that come in bulk at a very good price, and I've always had really good luck with their lids. I'm getting rid of my Care brand lids because I'm rotating through them just like I do everything else. I hope you go get yourselves a canner, even if it's at the thrift store or even Facebook Marketplace. They don't have to cost a lot to do the job that they're intended to do. Have a great day. God bless every one of you. Thank you very much for your support. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I am out.
For any of you that are in the market to buy a solar generator, take a look at what they're going to be offering, because it's going to be some of the best, if not the very best prices that they've ever offered. Between the 5th and the 19th of November, you can go and buy a coupon for $1. Now keep in mind that all of these coupons only cost $1 to purchase, so that you can be locked in for these savings. So $1 for $30 off a Mega 1 if you're in the market to buy something like a Mega 1. For a Mega 2, $50 off for $1. Mega 3, $100 off for $1. And the Mega 5, $200 off for $1. Now remember, ladies and gentlemen, that the final price is going to be after you deduct the coupon that you purchased for $1 and after you deduct the coupon that you have for my discount code. Now I can tell you this, that my discount code is not going to be 5% off. It's going to be a little bit higher than that. So make sure that you use the special discount code that I will be leaving for you on a pinned comment. Now let's take a look at the Mega 2 prices if you purchase a $1 coupon for $50 off. You're looking at just the Mega 2 alone, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be $863, but my discount code is going to be higher than 5%, so it's actually going to be a little bit lower than that. That's a great price, and you can see the other prices here as you add things to it, or if you purchase it in a bundle. Bringing it up to the Mega 3, you're saving almost 50% off of the regular price if you use the coupon and you use my coupon code as well. And of course, the Mega 5 is going to have a $200 coupon if you decide to purchase it for $1. And you can see that the prices, ladies and gentlemen, are actually probably the best prices that they've had all year. So if you're in the market for any of the OUPES Mega products, take a look at them. Go ahead and purchase your $1 coupon to get anywhere between $30 to $200 off the final price, in addition to the special coupon code that they provided me to give to you all with a higher discount than just the average 5% that they normally provide. So the 3 steps required, ladies and gentlemen, in order for you to get the best prices is going to be to purchase your $1 coupon for whichever Mega series you want to purchase. Go ahead and make sure that you use my coupon code that I will leave on a pinned comment. And finally, wait until the flash sale between the 29th of November to the 2nd of December to get the very best savings of the year. Now, there will be a giveaway associated with this sale on my channel. However, OUPES has made it available to everyone, even if you don't buy anything. All you have to do is join their newsletter, and they're giving away 1 Titan 3, 4 Exodus 600 Plus, and 5 of their 240-watt solar panels.